Okay, I'm going to do a quick video on the tools of Bitcoin, like the mempool and Bitfeed, and how to basically make some sense out of the transactions. Here, obviously, you've got the blocks. The left side is unconfirmed, the right side is confirmed, but I'm going to show you how to look at something, at transactions. So I'm going to use block 121,458 because it's a good example. It only has 12 transactions. So it's just an easier reference. For like a tutorial. So here you could see you've got 12 transactions. That's what each block represents, each orange square. And side by side, these different tools, you could see they verify, the information with each other. This was 14 years ago. And let's see, let's take a look, a little cleaner comparison. So here we could see February 5th, 2011 at 12:04, 49 seconds even. But you can see here, so the data is accurate and it coincides. So now let's look at these transactions. So here in the mempool, you can see, right, clearly labeled 12 transactions, which um, is comparable to the visual illustration. And of course, now these are in order, okay? So here you got the first one, Coinbase, right? That's what the miner, that's from Bitcoin to the miner. That's the Coinbase reward, the Coinbase transaction. It is in position 0 on this grid. That is position 0. They got 50 Bitcoin. Now it's worth 5.76 million. Wasn't at the time. That was 14 years ago. But you could see here, it's verified that that transaction was the 50 Bitcoin. Let's count them. Okay. There's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? So 12 transactions are there, able to be verified of Bitcoin's activity, right? Immutable ledger, transparent ledger. You can go in here. And so let's look at that. Transaction 12, 37.69 Bitcoin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 12 transactions total. Let's grab the last one. There it is, verified, right? Those 12 positions, 12 transactions. The last one, 37.69. It is, it coincides with the data from the mempool. And it's just a lot, this is how these tools work, or what you're looking at. So how about this one? This is position 6, transaction 6. Let's take a look at it. Well, remember, so we're looking at, now let's start from the top because it's always easier. That's why I chose this 12 transactions. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 6 transactions. We've got 155.8. So 155.8 Bitcoin. There it is, transaction 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 155.8. So this is how, the cubes, this is what the cubes are illustrating. They're illustrating transactions. And now that we got that out of the way, just so you know what you're looking at, let's zoom in here because now let's talk about digital land building on the blocks of Bitcoin, right? How this works. What do we mean by Bitcoin world assets? Well, we already know that the first transaction, right, is the Coinbase transaction. So you've got, and it's numbered at 0. It's not the first like actual peer-to-peer transaction. So it starts at 0, and then you got transaction 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, right? So this is how the ledger works. This is how Bitcoin works. This is how the blocks of Bitcoin. So block 121,458 of Bitcoin had 12 transactions in that block, right? So we know this. We could verify it. Anyone could verify it. That's what makes it great. It's one of the things that makes it great. So the first transaction position 0, the Coinbase output, right? We know that that's where the miner was rewarded. Now there's something special about that because not only do they get the issuance, the reward for solving the block, they also get a portion of fees. They get a portion of fees that were generated by each of the transactions that were included in that block. So they get a portion of those fees generated. So that's, could be some serious coin, right? Earning potential. But so that's what makes transaction 0 even more, or the Coinbase transaction even more special, because it has a cryptographic tie to every other transaction in that block through the proof of work model. and the way Bitcoin works. So, right, because we know that that transaction came from Coinbase, the newly generated coins. So what happened? What's in that newly generated coin? Well, it's the first new Satoshi. It's the first Satoshi of the block. As here, I'm using Magic Eden template to kind of point that out, but I can also go to ordinals.com and find the information. I go to our Bitcoin World Asset tool and verify the information too, because we're building a supportive framework, a supportive infrastructure to really utilize the first Satoshi of the block as the cryptographic digital proof of work miner's digital deed, right? It's digital land, it's a deed, a proof of work model. So really quick here, this SAT, so this is SAT range. So there's only one range of SATs. And obviously the uncommon, right? The first SAT in the block, this is it, right? 0.00006072900. And there's 546 Satoshis total in the UTXO that holds this SAT. Okay. And the reason I'm showing you this one, because this is what I call the family trait. We call it family trait. Um, so the SAT range, the numbers range from 607290000 to 60729,545. So what does that tell us? That tells us that, right, the one SAT here plus those obviously equals the 546, but it tells us more than that. It tells us that out of these 546 sats, all of them are basically in sequential order, numerical order, right? Now, why is that significant? Well, because we could get in here if we want to, right? Because we're talking about digital real estate. Um, so I can get in here, open this up, and select these out, pick them out, so that I can grab 00001, 00002, 003, all the way to 12, right? In the respective order on their own UTXO. And they can be parceled assets, right? They could be assets that match perfectly with the transaction count and the transaction order, right? So you could see here, I'm giving an example of what that would look like from a foundational asset level, right? This could be in your wallets, and now these are 100% accurate, an accurate digital land model framework based on the way Bitcoin works, right? Because that's what I was showing you is the order of transactions and the Satoshis. And now you have a sound foundational framework that works exactly the way Bitcoin works and is designed. A proof of work model does not hinder or impede on any of Bitcoin Core's principles or structure or functionality. And with this base model, we can now grow and build in technologies and innovation sectors like AI, gaming, education, quite honestly, any direction we want, and interweave the foundation of Bitcoin into the professional digital infrastructure of the world.